Hi guys, Steph here. Right, what I'm going to do, we're going to do a how-to video today, and as you can see I've got a pen here that came to me from a customer of mine. What I've done, I've disassembled it. Everything's been cleaned internally, the inside the barrel, inside the cap, the feed, the ink channel, the nib, the section, everything's been cleaned, the pen's been polished, etc. It's ready now to assemble, but obviously we need to install a sack in it. But before we install this sack, sometimes what you'll find with these pens is when you actually disassemble it, like in this particular case, you'll see the top of this pressure bar here is corroded and it's broken off, so that's no good to us. So we need to replace this pressure bar. Now you can buy pressure bars. I've got one here, a new one, and they come in two sizes, one being 66mm and this one being 84mm. The 66 obviously is too short, and if you look at this one, the 84, is actually too long. But what we need to do is cut it to fit the pen. We also need to, as I say, install a new sack. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually, off camera, I'm going to cut slightly a little bit off this end here. I'm also going to cut a piece off the sort of spring section of the bar at the back. I need to cut that, and also I need to cut a little bit off the pressure bar itself. The reason being is that how these actually fit in, well, what I'll actually do, I'll show you that later on in the video, so I'm going to do that a little bit later. But what we're going to do while we're here, I'm going to fit a new sack to the section, and what I've got here is I think this is a 17.5, and it's a neck sack. Now some people will say, well, how do I know what size sack I need? What you can do is get one of these sack gauges, and what you do, you simply get the section nipple and place it inside the holes here, and I don't know if you can actually see, it fits nicely in the number 18. So what we need to do is take it one step down to the number 17, which as you can see it won't fit in. So if we get a number 17 sack, that'll fit nice and snugly to the section nipple. So if I pop that to one side, so that's how you can tell what size sack you need. Now if I just simply put a number 17 sack on there, or a 16, it may be slightly too small. A larger one than this would be better as well, maybe 18, 19, or maybe even a 20. But this one, I believe it's a 17.5. It might actually be 18. But the nice thing about it, as I say, it's a neck sack, so that will sit nice and snugly onto the section nipple. Now before I do that, what I need to do, whoops a daisy, I nearly knocked one of the lights down. I'm going to take a little bit off the neck section. So what I'm going to do, I've got my trusted little blade here, and I'm looking over the camera. There we go. So as you can see there, what I've done, I've just cut a little bit off the neck there. Let's put the blade to one side. Let's get my cutting board and let's just simply throw it down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fit the sack first of all for you, because while that's drying, well, I'll tell you why in a moment. So I've got my shellac here. Let's unscrew it. Before I do that, these are my sack spreaders, and what I simply do is pop that inside like that. Pop that to one side. Get the shellac, make sure there's some on it, and I'm going to coat the sack nipple with shellac. So what I'm doing, I'm just applying it and turning it as I'm applying it. Okay, so that should be fine. Now I'm going to get my sack spreaders, Okay, I'm going to present it to the nipple like so. There we go. You can see it's gone onto the nipple there. I'm just going to push it on slightly. Give it a little bit of a twist as well, so all the shellac is coated. Excuse me. And there we have it. Okay, so what you'll also notice on this particular section, you can see a little sort of flat piece on the thread there. And in effect what happens, as we'll show you in a little while, the pressure bar has to physically sit on that flat piece. Okay, so you can see the flat piece there. As I say, that sits nice and simply on the flat section, and it butts up against the rim of the section there. But before we do that, one, we're going to allow the sack to dry. What I'm going to do now, while that's drying, I'm going to go off camera, and I'm actually going to cut this pressure bar, which, as we said, is 84mm. And I know for this pen, the sort of size that we need is approximately 75mm. So I need to cut, well, the way I actually do it, not everybody will do it the same. I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom. As I said earlier, I'm going to cut some of the sort of the springy bar at the back there, and then also I'm going to cut a little piece off the pressure bar itself, and I'll tell you why when I come back. So what we'll do, we'll leave it at that, we'll wait for the shellac to dry, and while I'm cutting the bar, that hopefully will dry and we'll put it all back together. So I'll see you in a minute. Right guys, we're back, and here we have it. We've got the pressure bar now has been cut. I don't know how long it's taken me, but hopefully the shellac would have dried on the sack. But one thing I did actually say earlier is that these are normally about 75mm. Now cutting it and measuring it, cutting it and measuring it and filing it, this is now 70mm. So I read somewhere that it was 75, but once I've cut it and measured it, etc., it's actually 70mm long. So what I've done, I cut a little bit off the end there, and what I also like to do, I also like to sort of crimp the end, as you can see there. I also cut a piece off the springy bar, if you like, the bar at the back. I cut a piece off that, and I also cut a piece of this pressure bar here. Now the reason to cut that is that once, as I said earlier, once it sits sort of against the ridge of the section, as you can see there, if I didn't cut it, then the bar itself would actually snag onto the sack nipple. So by cutting the piece off the pressure bar itself, once it's installed, you can see the bar now is clear of the sack nipple there, and it won't snag on the nipple itself and not work. So hopefully once we install it, everything should be in working order. So let's do it. So what we need to do, first of all, what happens is this bottom piece, as I said, sits in a little sort of metal pocket, if you like, and as you can see there, it's now sat inside the pocket inside, and you can see the bar is pretty well flush with the top of the barrel there, which is how it should be. And in effect what happens is, if I turn the little knob at the bottom as I showed you earlier, which I'll do, you'll see the bar, there you go, as I'm turning it, the bar, that's it, it's turned as far as it'll go, and you can see the bar protrudes slightly now. So in effect that's what happens inside it. It sort of pushes the bar up against the section, and that in turn sort of bends the bar, and that pushes against the sack inside the pen. So if I turn the knob back again, you'll see the bar will reverse back into its original position inside, and then at that point the sack should be full of ink. So what we'll do, we'll leave the bar inside like so. Let me just check over the camera. Actually, one thing I've not done, we've got to make sure that the sack goes between the bar here. Oh dear, there we go. So let's pop it in like so. We don't want to pop it in the wrong way, so there we go. I want to get it to sit inside that pocket again. There we go. And I can see now that that's in the correct position. So what I need to do, let's pop it down first of all. So we need to get the sack now, put a little bit of dusting powder on the sack, and that'll help sort of installation of the sack. When we pop it back in, it'll prevent it sort of snagging against the bar. And what we're to do, there we go, we'll blow it. Now actually what I'll need to do first of all, it's a lot easier if we actually first get the bar, present it to the, once again, this little flat area there on the section. So if we present that like so, and in turn let's present that to inside the barrel, and in effect what we're doing now is actually turning the barrel. This bit can actually be a little bit fiddly until you get it right, and until you get the bar to sit correctly inside the sort of little hole, if you like, inside. A little bit difficult doing it over the camera. Okay, that's not correct. Okay, let's try that once more. It's always a little bit difficult doing it over the camera. So what I'm trying to do is align, let's pop it back in, align the pressure bar like so, and trying to get this little, the end piece in that little hole at the end of the barrel. Okay, let's, maybe that took it. And we need to screw back, and you can see so the pressure bar is sort of sitting against that little ridge, and it's actually sitting against sort of the lip of the section there, and that seems to be going in okay. So at this point what I want to do is add a little bit of shellac. Now some people will say, well, you don't need to add shellac, but in my opinion, once you've actually done it, then why would you want to actually remove it again? So, oh dear. There we go, shellac on the threads. I've got it a little bit on the bar as well, but that doesn't matter. So let's pop it in again. Let's hope it sits inside. No. As I say, I'm working over the camera, so it's always a little bit difficult. Okay, maybe that's actually got it home. Let's get our piece of rubber. Okay, that looks, it looks like it may have gone in, so what we need to do is just keep our fingers crossed. What I'm going to do is get a little bit of tissue, just give that a little bit of wipe. I've got shellac on my fingers, but we'll wipe all that off afterwards. So at this point, if I turn the end there, I can feel a little bit of resistance. So it feels okay So just bear with me while I place my tongue over the end here. Right, I can feel a bit of suction. Incidentally, one of the other things that you do when you're placing the sack inside, get yourself a dowel, and this applies with other pens in similar situations like this, where you get the dowel, place it inside, and you can actually feel that the sack is not snagged against the bar. So get yourself a little dowel, place it in. Incidentally, some of you will look at this and say, well, yes, Steph, you haven't put the you haven't put the nib in the section. Well, yeah, obviously you can't do that on these particular pens. You have to do what we've just done there first of all, and then lastly you now put the section, sorry, the feed and the nib into place, which is what we'll do. Before we do that, don't forget to clean the feed, clean inside the channels. You can see what I like to do is give it a little bit of a polish as well. You can see it's got the Swan logo underneath the feed there. So clean in between the sort of the comb, if you like, clean the channel, the nib, clean the nib, oops a daisy, clean the nib. I like to polish them, etc. Once I've done that, get your shim, your brass shim, place it in the hole, pull it a few times to remove any debris or any dirt between the tines. So let's do it over the camera. I'm a little bit far away, so I'm hoping I'll get it right. That looks okay. So present the feed to the nib. That looks fine. And now install it into the pen. So just bear with me while I get my little loop. Check it. Yep, that looks fine. So what I'll do, I'll just get the rubber, just a fraction more. Again, check it with your loop. Yep, that still looks fine. And what we've got, let's show you the nib while we're at it. We've got a lovely, I think this is a Swan number 4 nib. So there you can see it's all installed. Okay, there you can see the feed. Everything now is nice and clean. So if I get the cap, screw the cap back on, and there we have a gorgeous Swan leverless fountain pen with this twist filler at the end. It's got these lovely 3 bands to the bottom of the cap there. It's got the very recognisable Swan ball clip. As you can see, gorgeous condition. Let's show you the imprint. There you go, lovely clear imprint. So this one now will be going back to the customer. Let's give you some twirls. We'll give it a final polish before it goes back. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, you've actually just seen me actually put everything together. So as always, it's as good time any to sort of test the pen. Let me get some tissue from the side again. So again, what we do, we simply dip the nib in the ink, we turn on the knob here, which, as I said to you before, will sort of push against the section. It'll expand the bar will push against the sack, and then once you screw it back in, that should allow the ink to fill into the sack. So let's do that. Okay, I can see a little bit of bubbling going on. We don't want too much because it's only for a writing sample. Let's put that to one side so we don't spill it. And let's see. Oops, I've got a little bit of a blob there, so no problem. Let's see how the pen writes. So what we've got is a Swan Leverless we're dating the pen from maybe 1930s, maybe 1940s, made in England, writing nicely, and I would say writing with a fine line. Does the pen have any flex? I would say a little bit. You can see on the downward stroke there I'm applying a little bit of pressure. So let's show you that. Excuse horrible writing. Again, it's always difficult doing it over a distance over the camera. But as you can see, it's writing nicely with a fine line with a little bit of variation in the line as well. So there you have it. What we've done, we've just basically sort of serviced the pen, restored it for you on camera. Let's put what I'll do, I'll empty it in a moment after the video. We'll flush it out with water, and this will be on its way back to the customer tomorrow. So I hope you've enjoyed your pen, or I hope you will enjoy your pen, Tony. I hope you like it. And there we go. I hope you people as well enjoy watching these videos. I hope the video was helpful to you, and if it was helpful to you, then please support the work that I do. If you feel that this has helped you, if you feel that you can now actually go out and do your own pen, be a bit careful. You know, you've got to be careful whatever pen you actually restore. Take it easy, have some patience. But yeah, if it was helpful to you, if it's going to help you with your pens, then please support my work. Like as well, subscribe, but for now I'll say bye bye for now.